They never prove anything.
Yeah.
They never even try to prove anything. They speak in circles all the time. Dawkins' writings, if somebody really wanted to believe what Dawkins was pushing, they could be enthralled by it. But you have to believe something with no backup. There's no backup in his stuff. Yet he is understood as the king of what they call the new atheists. And new atheists are like evangelical atheists. Don't you understand what that means? They want you to be an atheist. They think Christianity and religion is the worst thing that ever happened in the world. And there's a group of people like that. And some of these people are the kind of people. I had no argument with Charles Darwin's The Origin of Species in the sense that he never proved anything. He just said finches' beaks changed sizes based on what was going on. He never made any, he just extrapolated to this, what you call macroevolution of molecules to man. He had no proof of that. He just saw small changes called microevolution. So I'm not saying it didn't happen what he said happened, but that didn't prove anything. It's really nothing that would make any, in court of law. Anyway, go back. Observation. We learn a lot about things, observation, scientifically, experimentation, testing, and revelation. Okay? That's how we obtain knowledge.
Can I
Yeah.
ask something?
Sure.
Stephen Hawking, what's his philosophy? Is he is thinking based on Darwin's?
What was the
Okay. I'm going to tell you what all these are based on. Not necessarily Darwin, maybe, don't know his history that well, but Hawkins and Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens and all these people who write prolifically, they're coming from the viewpoint there is no God.
I know
Therefore.
he's an atheist.
And they're going to prove it.
Yeah. There is no God, therefore. Hey, if it looks, and this is true, if it looks like there's a God, that it's all been designed, go back to the first statement, there is no God. That's how they think. That's how they write.
Do they believe in a force somehow?
Nothing.
Nothing?
We'll get into materialism. It's a weird belief system, believe me. When I say materialism, I don't mean like wanting more material things. I'm talking about materialism as a belief system of what there is in the reality of the world. Okay? Again, let's go back to this. General revelation. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day, they pour forth speech. Night after night, they reveal knowledge. The more we learn about nature, the more we point to God, the Creator. Notice reveal knowledge again. Remember what science is. It's pure and simple. It's something that's definitely true. It is knowledge. And all the science that is quoted in here, well, not all of it, but, he said grass is green, that gets scientific, but I mean, I'm saying that it is not backed up by a good basis. It all starts from a bias. There cannot be a God, therefore this has to be true. Okay, so where evolution's come from. We have no idea yet. Here's an interesting thing. Some scientists and church leaders claim that there is no conflict between science and religion because science explains how things happen and religion explains why things happen. Have you ever heard that? It's replete. I don't know if you know this or not, but mainline churches, and I don't step anybody's toes, but usually Episcopal, Methodist, Presbyterian, et cetera, method, that they've all basically said, well, we think evolution is really true from molecules to man. The Pope said it. Wasn't this Pope? I think it was the Pope before him. I guess evolution probably did happen. And I'm not talking about evolution like Darwin saw, or we can see. I'm talking about evolution where you go from one species to, from a one-celled animal to a human. All right. Does this make sense? Got to be very careful here. There are several problems with this idea. One, science does not know how the universe came into existence. Remember it's science's job to say how it happened. They don't know how. And any reasonable science who study cosmology will tell you they don't know how. Stephen Hawking, he doesn't know how. He says it's a multiverse. In other words, we live in a universe, and there are billions of universes that we just happen to be in the one where life could exist. So that's the only explanation they can come up with why we can be alive. Okay? Why all the numbers are perfect. We'll get into this more in detail. But he says it's a multiverse. That doesn't answer the question. So where did multiverse come from? See? All right. But they don't know how it came to this. Number two, science does not know how life began. There are all kinds of scientists studying what they call origin of life studies. And they come up with some really wonderful things. All right. Don't prove anything. We'll talk about that too when we get into evolution. Science does not know how the natural laws that determine how the universe works were established. Those formulas I showed you, why are they true? How did they come into existence? They are true. They have experimented and they observed it's true. But why is it so that we can be alive? Because if they were any different, the constants in those formulas, any different, we wouldn't be here. It's called the fine-tuning of the universe. We'll go over that. Contrary to most people, what they think, number four, the story of evolution has major scientific issues. Now, I'll go down through, and when we get to evolution, I'll go down through what the story of evolution is. And I'm not talking about my story, I'm talking about evolutionist story. Okay? What has to be true for evolution to have occurred, the way they say it. Science, the science on that is so sketchy and so full of holes, and you'll see it. Science cannot explain how the complex digital code in human DNA, which is 3.5 billion base pairs in you, each cell of your body, came to be and how it works. Let me give you a few little facts. Number one, how many, I'm going to throw some candy. Within a ballpark figure, how many cells do you have in your body? Huh? I can't hear it. Speak up. A bunch. You sound like Donald Trump. we're a lot ahead. Use those terms. Does anybody have any idea?
25 trillion.
Who said 25 trillion? Man, that's pretty close. They don't know for sure. I have a lot more than most of y'all do.
You're getting into science, but
Yeah.
you don't know.
That's right. 37 to 100 trillion cells in your body, depending on your size. Trillion, you know what a trillion is? Inside each cell, that has a nucleus has a strand of DNA in each one of those 100 trillion. You know how long the DNA strand is if it's opened up, uncoiled? 6 feet. Amount of cells in my body will go around to the sun and around 250 times. Lays in the end. Now, nobody's going to lay them in the end, don't get me wrong. But I'm telling you, this is the complexity of life. They had no idea where that came from. Every time you discover something new in science, they have a story for why that supports evolution. And those stories are so incredible, but people believe them anyway. The last one is when a scientist tells you about all these things, they're asking believers to compromise biblical inerrancy and agree to their secular story. In other words, you can't let them tell you how it happened when it is in conflict with what the Bible says how it happened. You can't give that to them. If you do, you may as well give them the Bible. Let's summarize. 4 most important questions of cosmology and biology. 1, the origin of the universe. 2, the origin of life. 3, the origin of natural laws and forces. 4, the existence of digital information coded DNA. Evolutionary scientists have no credible answers, but they want us to trust that someday they will have all the answers. You know, when I listen to these nature programs, or watch them, and guys like Tyson, whatever his name is, I can't remember his name, black professor, and they make statements, and I get mad. I boil inside, because the statements are so full of baloney. And I have to take everything, I have to calm myself down, because they're putting it over All right, here's the big leap. I want you to think about this. Many scientists claim that since God, the supernatural, cannot be tested or measured, and that since he is not of the physical world, he cannot be a part of science. Now, science as defined today, I agree. You can't have anything supernatural in the scientific realm because science, I'll tell you what the word is, science is incompetent to handle it. That's what I'm telling you. God cannot, this is their next one. Furthermore, since God cannot be part of science, he does not exist, and there is a totally material explanation for our reality. This is where it's gone. This is the basis of their argument.